What exactly did President Trump mean when he said at some point in the not too distant future, most people won't even have to pay any income tax? Let's break this down. Because if that's true, it would be one of the biggest financial shifts in American history. First, here's the math we're dealing with. Last year, the federal income taxes brought in roughly $2.6 trillion. That's the single largest source of money the federal government collects. It pays for everything from Social Security to military to Medicare. So when Trump says most people won't be paying income tax, your first thought should be, okay, well, what's going to replace that $2.6 trillion? Now, Trump keeps pointing to tariffs as the primary replacement. And yes, tariffs do bring in money. But last year, tariffs generated roughly $200 billion. That's less than 8% of what income taxes generate. So even if you tripled that or even quadrupled that in tariffs, which would send consumer prices completely flying, you still wouldn't get close to filling that gap. But here's where things get interesting. Trump also talked about other revenue streams that haven't gotten the same attention. Let's talk about one of them. Recently, the government just took a 10% equity stake in Intel. You may have heard him say, "We've already made $40 billion on that investment." Here's what that really means. $40 billion is paper gains. Gains on the value of Intel shares the government now holds. This is not money, this is not cash flow being used to fund the government. Unless the government sells those shares or collects dividends, it doesn't pay the bills. It's an asset that sits on the balance sheet. It's not revenue. So no, Intel stock isn't replacing income tax. But now let's zoom out and ask the real question. Is it actually possible to eliminate income tax for most Americans? And the answer is, not the way people think. But yes, there is a path if you completely redesign how America collects revenue. Here's what it would take. Number one, a national consumption tax, also known as a VAT like Europeans do. A 10% VAT could bring in over $1 trillion a year. A 15% VAT, well, we're talking close to $2 trillion. That alone could eliminate income tax for a huge percentage of households. Number two, keep tariffs, but use them as a secondary source of revenue. Maybe another $300 to $600 billion in high tariff environment. Number three, add something like a carbon tax or a border adjusted tax. That could bring in another $100 to $200 billion. Stack all of that together, and yes, you could legitimately make most Americans owe zero in income tax, especially the middle class. In fact, around 40% of households already owe no federal income tax because of deductions and credits. Expand those credits, raise the standard deduction, and you could push that number well above 50%. But let's be clear. This isn't a tariffs will fix everything situation. This is a full-scale overhaul of our overall U.S. tax system, the kind we haven't seen since World War II. It would shift America from a tax your income system to a tax your spending system. That would involve massive change, massive political fight, and a massive ripple effect. So is Trump's claim total BS? Well, no, not completely. There is a version of America where most people don't pay income tax already. But it would require a combination of tariffs, a national consumption tax, energy tax, and a complete restructuring of our U.S. tax code. Is that coming in the not too distant future? That's where the statement gets ambitious. There is no detailed plan today that lays out how to get there. And without that plan, it's more vision than reality. I'm Dr. Jake Latimer. Numbers first, headline second.